In 2016, I had $300 to my name. I filed Chapter 7 bankruptcy, couldn't afford the apartment my daughter and I lived in, a one-bedroom apartment. I had to move her and I in with a friend and rent a room out of his house. I had a 200 credit score. I was financially and emotionally broken. Now today, just 9 years later, I am a multimillionaire and I have passive income. I don't have to work. I make these videos for you guys. What changed? Did I get some huge inheritance? No. I learned the laws of wealth. Wealth is not something that just a few people have the luxury of getting. If you simply follow the 7 laws of wealth that I'm going to teach you guys in this video, you can become wealthy. It's not by chance, it's by design. So they're very simple. These aren't difficult things. They don't change with different markets. They work throughout any market, any climate, any amount of money that you make. It's not about how much you make, it's about how much you keep. That's how you build real wealth. So stick with me till the end. I'm going to give you all 7 laws to building true wealth throughout your life. And I can't wait until you start implementing them right away. So the first rule, and probably the most important one, I was never taught this growing up. I don't come from a silver spoon. I come from a lower middle class family. I was never taught these rules of wealth. I had to seek this information. And as I was seeking the information and applying it, that is so important. Guys, if you have knowledge about something and you don't apply that knowledge, there's no power in it. Only applied knowledge is powerful. Knowledge alone is not powerful. So everything I share with you guys, it's one thing to know it, it's another thing to do it. You have to do the things that you know. If you don't, there's no power in it. So the first thing, I wish this was taught to me when I was a kid, was to save at least 10% of every dollar you earn. Pay yourself first. We are taught to pay everybody else first. Think about this. Every dollar we earn as Americans, 20 cents of that dollar goes towards automobiles. 30 cents goes towards housing. 40 cents goes to everything else. That's all of your entertainment. That's all your food. We are taught to pay everybody else before we pay ourselves. And then we overspend. We actually spend our savings. We don't let it sit and compound. You want to train yourself to pay yourself first and live off less than you earn. If you can make that a muscle and just do it automatically, out of sight, out of mind, you will start to save a lot of money. And here's the thing, it's not about how much money you make, because if you make more, most people just spend more. If you make more and you have a bunch saved and all of your income goes away, if you can basically stay afloat for months, years, decades, that's true wealth. And the only way to do that is to save a portion of the money you make and never touch the principal. Let it continue to compound and grow for the rest of your life. And that is why I do whole life insurance policies. I save money there. It's guaranteed to compound and grow, and then I borrow against it. I never touch the principal. I let it compound, I let it grow, and I put much more than 10%. But 10% is at least what you should do. What I did for my daughter Haley when she got her first job, we have a joint account. I get all of her paychecks coming in as direct deposits. When I see them, I take 25% right off the top. So she only has 75% left over. She has to learn how to live on less than she earns. That 25% goes into a whole life insurance policy for her where it's guaranteed to compound and grow. She's already saved up $5,300. She's only 17 years old. She's going to have a ton of money the older she gets because she will always save at least 25%. But guys, you got to start somewhere. At least 10%. That's rule 1. Pay yourself first. Save at least 10% of every dollar you make and never touch the principal. Now, rule 2 is very simple. Live below your means. So rule 1, you're going to save at least 10% of everything you make. You put it somewhere that you're not going to touch it. You're going to let it build and compound and hopefully be able to borrow against it to go live your lifestyle, to go invest. But the second thing is to live below your means. So let's say you make $10,000 a month. You're saving at least $1,000. Now you've got 9,000 bucks. Most people, what they will do is they will spend that 9,000 or more. They'll actually rack up credit cards. They'll go tap into their 10% savings they said they were going to save. The smart person, the person that builds wealth, is going to build a margin between their savings and their lifestyle. So instead of spending 9,000, they're going to see where they can actually get different things taken out of their life. Lifestyle bloat. When you go make more money, you go buy a new car. When you get a promotion at work, you upsize your house. You go buy the Louis Vuitton, you buy the Gucci, you buy the new cars to impress people that don't care. They care about themselves. They don't care about you. So when you buy these things, all you're doing is you're adding lifestyle bloat. You don't want that. You want to live below your means, and then you create a gap, a margin where you've got more money you can invest, more money that can build up for your retirement, more money that you can have saving and compounding and growing. So if you can start living on 7,000 bucks instead of 9, if you can start living on 6,000 bucks instead of 9, do you see how every single month you can start building wealth? Wealth is about habit. It's not about how much money you make. A pro athlete who makes a ton of money can be broke in a couple years. A janitor who follows the laws of wealth can become extremely wealthy. It's not about how much you make. It's what you do with the money you make. It's about habit. It's about law. First law, pay yourself first. Second law, live below your means. Build margin between what your lifestyle is and the savings you have so you can have even more of that savings to invest and build your wealth quicker. On to law number 3, and that is understand and use compound interest. Einstein said it best. Compound interest is the 8th wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it. He who doesn't pays it. And compound interest, it takes time. The longer you give it, the bigger it gets. Here's a great example. I have a life insurance policy that I started 5 years ago. I just funded it yesterday. I put $32,000 in and it grew by $66,000. That's 106% cash on cash return. And next year, it'll be even more because that's how compounding works. You actually have an amount of money that's building interest, and then that interest is added on top of the principal. So now the next year, that's building interest. It's a bigger amount building interest. And over time, it's like a hockey stick. It doesn't do much at first, but over time it becomes stupid. And here's the thing, the longer you give it, the bigger that curve on the hockey stick. Most people don't understand compound interest. And if they do, they don't give it enough time to do its thing. They interrupt it. You never want to interrupt compound interest. I'm sure you've heard of the penny that doubles every day. Would you rather have a penny that doubles every day or $1 million? A penny that doubles every day for 30 days or $1 million? Most people, they think, oh, $1 million, right? But if you know about this, it takes 28 days for that doubling penny to get to $1 million. But then just 2 days later, I think it's over like $5 million. That's the power of compounding. That is why I put so much money into whole life insurance policies. They're guaranteed to compound and grow. They compound and grow tax-free. So that means every single year, I've got a bigger sum of money that I can borrow against. And I don't interrupt the compound growth. You never want to interrupt compounding. Inside policies, it's protected against lawsuits and judgments. So no one can touch that money. Now, eventually, I'm going to pass away someday. So when that happens, my family gets a tax-free death benefit. But the longer I live, the bigger that compound growth curve goes up. So that policy that I just funded, I put in 32,000, it grew by 66. When I'm like 70, if I put in 32,000, it's going to grow by like 600 grand. That's the power of compounding. You want to start it early and you want to consistently add to it. And that's where rule 1 and rule 2 feed into rule 3. If you're paying yourself first, saving at least 10%, building margin by living on less than your means, you have more money that you can add to a compound vehicle that is going to just keep going and keep running in the background, doing all the heavy lifting. You want to start giving your money multiple jobs. And that's the beauty of doing whole life insurance. That's why I talk about it so much. You can give your money multiple jobs. You put it into a policy, it's compounding and growing, tax-free. You can borrow against it, put it into another investment to make more money outside of the policy. It's protected from lawsuits and judgments. That's another benefit. It actually gives a death benefit to your family. That's another job for the money. So you want to give your money multiple jobs, and those are the first three. Let's jump into the fourth law of wealth. Law number 4 is to guard your earning power. What does that mean? It means to constantly evolve, constantly get better at what you're doing. If you can make more money, you have more money to pay yourself first, rule 1. You have more of a margin that you can create, rule 2. You have more money that you can have compound and grow, rule 3. So rule 4 is to constantly be getting better, constantly work on yourself. You can do 2 things. You can educate yourself with your time, or you can entertain yourself with your time. Most people spend so much time and money on entertainment, yet they balk when they think about spending money on educating themselves. Most people, they'll spend a ton of money on entertainment, but then they won't spend a couple $1,000 on a mentor, a couple $1,000 on a course in order to get better at a skill. So right now, you're probably spending a lot of money on entertainment. You need to spend as much or more on education. Spend money on getting better. Always be evolving. This is the thing. Most people, they work and they work really hard, but money does not follow work. Money follows value. What I learned is when I started becoming more valuable and helping more people, my income went up. So you have to start thinking about how many problems can I solve? How valuable can I get? And the more I can spread that value to people and solve people's problems, the more money I will make, simply because I'm valuable. You have to work on your value. Always become more valuable. Don't chase money, because you'll always be chasing it. Chase value. If you chase value, money will chase you. Law number 5 is to refuse to take on any debt that does not make you money. See, most people, they take on debt as a consumer. They go buy a new car. They get a boat. They rack up their credit cards. And this is money that is leaving them and their family forever. They can no longer make money off of that money because it's gone. Most people have car payments, house payments, credit card payments, student loan payments, and all these different payments, payment on the boat, payment on the second home, all these payments, all this debt that is not serving them. And that is money that is gone. I can't stress that enough. It's called opportunity cost. If you spend $1, that money can never earn you money ever again. And the interest that you're paying on all these debts is the same thing. It cannot make you money if it is gone, if it's going towards this debt. And a lot of people are buying things just to impress people. They're buying cars that they can barely afford on a monthly payment to impress somebody. They're financing a watch in order to impress somebody. They're living paycheck to paycheck, paying all this interest to banks and losing it forever. So you want to make sure if you go into debt, that debt is serving you. If you take debt out at 5%, let's say, but you can take that money and go make 10%. That is a beautiful thing. You're using borrowed money. There's no taxes on borrowed money, on loans. You're taking that to go make more. So if it costs you 5 and you go make 10, you just made 5% by using somebody else's money. That is using debt wisely. Not going and buying a new car, not financing a watch, not financing a boat. Those things are just to impress other people. It'll never build you wealth. You want to use debt as a way to grow and multiply your wealth, not as a way to crush it down to oblivion. Getting almost to the end now, guys. Law number 6 is to track your money. Know where it's going. You should be looking at your bank statements regularly. You should be looking at it daily and seeing, where did your money go? Where did you leak money? Was it on subscriptions? There's something called Rocket Money. You can actually plug this in and it'll show you where you've got certain subscriptions, things you might have forgot of. You might be leaking hundreds of dollars a month on these things. That $100 a month or whatever it is turns into thousands of dollars over a year's time frame. And then that money could compound and grow for you because you have more that you can save. You're building more of a margin, which is rule 2, again, living below your means. So you really want to track things. You want to know where they're going and why they're going there. If you're constantly spending money on gas, you might be driving too much. Where are you driving to? What are you doing? If you're constantly spending money on Starbucks, you might be having too much caffeine. And if that's the case, get a Keurig. Like I said earlier in the video, it's a way to lower those expenses. You need to track your money. Things that are measured can be improved. If you never track your money, you're never measuring where it's going, you can't improve where it goes. And if it goes into something that is actually making you more money, that's a plus. So do you guys see how all these laws kind of feed into each other? Law 6, again, is to track everything. Track where your money goes. Do it regularly. The person that tracks their money and knows where it's going has a lot better chance of building wealth than the person that doesn't. So here we are. We are on the last law of wealth, Law 7, which is to give generously. I'm sure you've all heard that wealthy people are very generous. They give away a lot. And it's very true. However, you have to build your foundation first. So you really got to focus on the first 6 laws and build up your foundation so that you have the ability to give. At first, you might not have money that you can give, but you can give time. You might have a bunch of time on your hands, so you can generously give your time. That's a lot of value that you can give somebody else. And in turn, there's a thing called the law of reciprocity. If you give someone your time, your undivided attention, your undivided time, they almost feel like they have to give you something back in return. And that's how I got into real estate. I had a bunch of time on my hands, and my mentor didn't have a bunch of time on his hands. I had the time to go out and find real estate deals that he couldn't find. That was my value, is giving that time to kind of tee him up with these real estate deals. Here, there's this one. Here, there's that one. And I learned what was and wasn't a real estate deal. He'd say, no, this one's not a deal because of X, Y, and Z. I'm like, okay, cool. This one's not a deal because of this. Okay, cool. Now I know what to look for and what not to look for. So that was me giving my value, which was my time. I didn't have the money to give right away. As I started to build up my wealth through the other 6 laws, I could start giving money away. Guys, I've done policies, life insurance policies on my parents and my in-laws, where I fund a policy, I put the money in, and then I give them money, I give them the cash value as a retirement income. That comes out to about $4,000 a month that I'm giving to them. That's, again, me being very generous with the money. It's helping them, but I couldn't have done that if I didn't build up my worth, if I didn't save at least 10% of all of my money, if I didn't build a margin, rule 2, of living below my means, if I didn't compound the money, rule 3, rule 4, if I didn't always focus on becoming more valuable, rule 5, I didn't get debt that doesn't serve me, and rule 6, I didn't track every penny that I had coming in, everything. So guys, all of these things kind of fit together. If you do them all, they're not difficult. They're just a different way of thinking. They take discipline and they take habit. If you do these things, it's inevitable. You're gonna become wealthy. You're gonna become very, very wealthy over time by sticking with these habits. It's not so much about what you do once, it's what you do constantly, what you do consistently. Wealth is about small things, small changes done on a consistent basis. Not one thing that you just change and all of a sudden you've got a bunch of money. That's not the way it works. If you follow the 7 laws of wealth, you will become more wealthy. It's just a matter of time. So let me know what questions you guys have in the comment section. Hopefully you got a ton of value from this. Please share this video with anyone and everyone that you know that can benefit from it. And I cannot wait until I see you guys on the next video. If you like this video, you're gonna love that one. Until next time, love you guys. Peace.